Hi, my name is Myra Tacy, and I am recording this on September the 16th, 2018. And I am the single proud parent of a young man that is currently 25 years old. He has autism. His name is Marquis, and he is a victim of ongoing assault, abuse, neglect, and exploitation by the government, the court system, and an unfit, lying, racist lawyer by the name of Aaron Sanford. He has home DD staff, developmentally disabled home staff. Sometimes I think they are developmentally disabled, but home DD staff that constantly abuses him. They're not trained, they're unfit, they're abusive, they don't have the personalities or know anything about dealing with my son and his disability. In fact, he's been blamed for his disability. I even been blamed for his disability since and there's a lot of racism in this because black people in this country are treated negatively and differently. And I don't care how many white folks, deny it. You can't tell me what my son has lived and what I'm living, because I'm a victim in this thing too as his mother, because I love my child as much as they love their kids. And there's a history of this country where they have always disrespected the black family and also have tried to break up the black family, because my son has not been allowed to see me in over 3 years. He hasn't been able or been allowed to call me since May the 13th, 2017. And so, like I said, I'm a victim in this thing as a mother. I'm a professional mother, loving, supportive, available mother, and I'm a Christian. I've been an RN for over 30 years. And I haven't abused or neglected my son, and I'm not allowed to see him because they want to protect themselves. They know I'm exposing them, and they don't want me to continue to get all the evidence that I've been getting. I got 3 Facebook pages. One is the Justice for Autistic Marquis Tanksley page. The other one is the Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquis Tanksley by the government. And then I have the audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley, his Suffering, Abuse, and Neglect page. And I said, because my son is actually high functioning, so he could verbalize. He has, of course, all of them have feelings. He's not an inanimate object. But Marquis is able to tell you things, and he can verbalize his feelings. There are deficits, because he does have autism, but he's high functioning. So he has a vocabulary, and they know he can tell me things. And I've recorded it over the years. And not only have he had told me things, I have seen things. Like December 1st, 2012, I actually seen a thug by the name of Rashim punch my son in the chest. And as a Christian, God set it up where I could see him, but he couldn't see me. I never said, because they tried to dismiss it, oh, well, he wouldn't, she wasn't standing next to him. And you don't have to stand next to a person to see something happen to them when God is working in the situation. You got to be careful when you deal with Christian people, because God will do supernatural things. And I was standing where I could see him and he couldn't see me. But he punched my son in the chest and grabbed him by the shirt and threw him up in the state van. And I witnessed that with my own eyes. God made it so. And because the boy, if he would have seen me standing afar off, he would have never done it. But God set it up. That was God's doing. He can do things like that. So I am recording audio tapes and stuff. And on this audio tape, it's got 30 minutes of recordings because after this happened, I talked to my son. It's from December the 1st, December the 2nd. 2012. And I'm talking to my son, and some of it that you're going to hear, and then there's conversations that I had recorded, because I didn't only just record my son Marquis, I recorded staff and my advocacy for him. And like I said, it's racism because black people, we supposed to keep our, and I'm not saying this to black people, but white people feel that we're not supposed to say anything or challenge the system. We're supposed to, like back in slavery, there's still the psychological damage to blacks and whites. They feel that we're supposed to hang our head down, keep our mouth shut, not say anything. I said, but I'm not intimidated by evil, racist, sick people. I don't revere nobody but God. And Jesus. And Jesus is God in the flesh. But I don't revere nothing but God. And, you know, so I'm not intimidated by that kind of stuff. But that's the way they feel about black people. And see, they always said that I escalated my son. I said, so, wait a minute. Now, when the white individuals that have autism or having meltdowns or aggression or whatever, verbal or physical aggression, are you blaming the white parents for that? So that's what you call your racism. I'd say to myself all the time, I said, why do people try to complicate racism? It's not really complicated to define the meaning, to even see the symptoms of it and the outcomes of it. But a lot of people don't even know what racism and bias and prejudice and racist mean, the separate meanings of the separate words. But it's not complicated at all. This country's been racist since 1776. It's always been racially set, you know. And that's why this country's going to go down. You wonder why God allowed Trump to get elected and stuff. Because it's been so hypocritical and wicked, you know. We're God we trust and all this kind of stuff. And it's never been a Christian nation. And God, you know, talks about injustice. That's why I said, me and Marquis just got a bunch of rotten scum in our life. And when God talks about injustice, and believe me, it's throughout the Bible. I'm talking fast because I don't have that much time because I got to play these tapes. But when he talks about injustice, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about the average Joe on the street. He's talking about people that work in the illegal system. Y'all might call it the legal system or the court system. But, you know, judges and magistrates and lawyers, attorneys, court investigators, clerks, other court personnel. And when God says something exists, it exists. Even God says these people exist. And that's where I get my authority from. Not for me to have authority, but my truth. I go to the Bible. And God tells me what's right and wrong. I don't have to judge anybody. But I will describe people. Like this racist, lying attorney. Her name is Erin Sanford. I call her that. I say those words because she is racist. She's a liar. She's unfit. And I got evidence because I'm an evidence girl. And that's the number one reason why they don't want me to talk to Marquis, because they know that I collect evidence. I don't like doing it, but I'll do it. I have to do it when you're dealing with corrupt, sick, evil, racist people. So Bible talks about injustice. Bible also talks about prejudice and stuff. The parable of the Good Samaritan. You can see 1 John, not the Gospel of John, 1 John, where the God lets us know that how can you say you love him who you have not seen and hate your brother who you have seen? So God, that'll send you to hell. You know, all these things are sin that will send you to hell. But the Bible is just full of injustice. And that's who practices it. It's not the average Joe on the street that practices injustice. It's all that scum that works in the court system. And from Erin Sanford, you know, and everybody, you know, has been a part of abusing and neglecting and exploiting my son for federal funds. And at CDC, the Columbus Developmental Center, that's where this audio tape is coming from. There was a lot of, like I said, just corrupt officials, you know, Mike D. Snow, Rob Capardi, Heidi Hughes, and like I said, there's conversations because I said, well, I'm going to make these audio tapes and people can hear Marquis in his own words from his own mouth describe incidences of abuse and neglect and hear his suffering, his pain, his emotional pain, his pain for being separated from me, the pain of being in a facility that didn't know about autism or respected his disability, was in sensory overload morning, noon, and night. The pain of being restrained all the time and abused and assaulted was traumatizing and terrorizing. The pain of being mistreated by unfit, abusive staff, and they were, you know, unfit, and then you had a lot of these, and I'm not against Native Africans. I'm African American myself and stuff, but I said, how in the world why are they hiring them? I can't even understand them. And there's a lot of them that flock to that field, MRDD or DD field, and I wonder why. But as I have watched them and even worked with them, I see that it's not because of empathy or compassion. It's because they can't speak clear English, and they know it. And I guess they say, well, they retarded or autistic or whatever. They don't need to understand us anyway. And I said, but the so-called professionals shouldn't really hire if they can't speak clear English. I said, because I can't even understand them. I know, the individuals that have the disabilities cannot understand them. But, there's conversations that I made, even to David Belinky. Now, the Lord took him off the planet after he did what he did, and this man thought he was invincible and unstoppable and powerful, and he bragged about himself. And God hates arrogance, and God hates injustice and stuff. But that's a different story. But I had called him about it. I called Disability Rights Ohio about it. I called Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities about it, Probate Court. I even, of course, told the facility. But all these people are very corrupt. They're all in this thing together. They all go along to get along. And they are part of that corrupt system. So everybody just swept it under the rug and denied it. And when people are in denial, they're not denying the truth. I mean, they're not denying lies. They're denying the truth. And so nobody's going to ever say, oh, yeah, they did do this. Your son is being mistreated. So a person in denial cannot acknowledge the truth. They're not going to acknowledge it. They're going to just deny the truth. So they went in denial. They went ahead and swept it under the rug. And then they wanted to try to slander me. Now, they can't say I'm a whore or I'm a drug addict or uneducated or anything like that and stuff. So the only thing they could say is that I escalate my son. And, of course, that is just slander, because I've been slandered like no tomorrow. But they have slandered Marquis, too. And I said, well, I'm going to let people hear it from Marquis's mouth. I said, because he adores me. He loves his mother. And even now, with him not being able to see me over 3 years, they're hoping that he'll forget about me. But like I told that racist, evil, lying attorney, Erin Sanford, I just left a message with her. I have reported this to clergy and reported to everybody, government officials and everything else. And I even made complaints to the corrupt probate court, and they just said, oh, no, we're not going to have a hearing for you, because they took my guardianship away. I mean, it's just so much corruption. And they had David Belinky do it. And the reason they said was because I wasn't cooperating with the people in the system. I said, well, advocating and speaking out about the mistreatment of your son by different people that are not trained and that are abusive is not neglecting or abusing your son. And by the way, you're not really even supposed to separate a family unless there is some type of dysfunction or abuse or neglect. So the guardianship should have never been taken away. But that's what these corrupt people do, because they have no oversight. And they do have a little bit of power here on earth, but the whole system's corrupt. And I'm looking forward to not only seeing Marquis being brought back home by God, because that's who's going to have to do it. There's certain situations only God can do and straighten out and make it right. I'm not only looking forward to that, but I said, Lord, if you spike the booties, I want to see that too, because he let me know that he took David Belinky off this planet. And like I said, I can't really get into it because there's not a lot of time, but when he was talking to me, I never forget it. I felt this like burning anger, not coming from me, not going to me. And it turned out to be the wrath of God. God was very angry with that man. Even when he was talking on the phone, I knew God was going to punish him. And within a year, that man died unexpectedly. So sometimes God will he deals with evil and evil people in a lot of different ways. And he just took him off the planet. So you'll hear those conversations. Then at the end, you'll hear Marquis ask me why, because the boy that hit him was African American by the name of Rashim, and they call him Shim. And you'll hear Marquis say, "Why did Shim hit me?" But you'll also hear him tell me about a resident named Bobby spitting on him, and he hit that Bobby. Then he was restrained. There's and this is a micro cassette, so it's not that clear. There's phone calls to me telling me that Marquis was restrained, was traumatized him, because he would tell me about it, how it hurt him and how he's scared, and he'd be crying. He said, "Mom, how do I feel?" Because Marquis wanted me to know what he was going through and the pain he was feeling. Then there's plenty of conversations that I have on here where I call people advocating for my son, getting him out of there. They're abusing him. I've seen with my own eyes, one of the state employees abusing and assaulting my son. Went nowhere. And like I said, now if I've been a white mother, a white father, probably something would have been done. But, like I said, they always say I escalate my son. And you don't hear Marquis say, "Mom, get out of here," or "I hate you" and stuff. But I would get over there after they done abused him, assault him, and put him in sensory overload morning, noon, and night, and had, an environment that was too noisy for him. I get over there, my son vent to me. I said, "He's venting to me, not because of me, idiots." But God will right this wrong, because my son will suffer. I mean, he's been treated worse than an animal. And it's hard for me to listen to these tapes because it brings back, what he suffered and what he continues to suffer. That's why they don't want him to talk to me on the phone. He has not been able or been allowed to talk to me in over a year, and they don't want me to see all the signs and symptoms. But you go to my 3 Facebook pages and you'll see evidence. It ain't all the evidence I have, but it'll show you that I'm not full of hot air. It's not just my son's imagination or my imagination. But I'm looking forward. But, Marquis is going through this stuff not because he deserves it, but because I believe God is going to use him. Because just because you're being treated like an animal don't mean you've done anything wrong. Look at Jesus. He was without sin. He was numbered with the transgressor, but he was executed like a criminal with 2 other criminals. But he did what he did for our salvation. But just because somebody mistreats you don't mean you deserve it, is what I'm saying. That's my point. They took my guardianship away. Don't mean that they should have done it. That's a very corrupt, unjust system. And like I said, the Bible talks about injustice. And he's not talking about people out in the street. He's talking about people in the legal system or the illegal system. And I don't have hardly no respect for attorneys unless they're like civil rights and stuff. I said, because that is one corrupt profession. And I'll be glad when God gets this garbage out of our lives. So I'm going to let you hear this. I have, like I said, wrote probate court by giving them information, told them about how Marquis is being abused and neglected, how Aaron Sanford is a pathological liar. It went nowhere. Of course, they appointed her, so they're not going to do anything. Even contacted the Ohio Supreme Court Disciplinary Council because they said they have no tolerance for a lawyer that lies to the court, and she did. She lied to the court on me because probate court put it in the document. What she said about me, it went nowhere. I told them how she was allowing other people to abuse and neglect my son, that he's in poverty, and how she lied on me, went no place. Because my son lives in poverty. He lives in a nasty, the last place they had him was in a real terrible crime-ridden neighborhood, surrounded by real dirty, nasty alleys. It's in a Section 8 townhome section. And it's so bad that the state of Ohio, which owns the building, had to erect or put up a metal locked black gate. That's how bad that neighborhood is. So she gets his SSI money while he lives in abuse, neglect, and poverty. And I've got tapes all the way up to the last time I talked to my son, and I'm still in 2012. So I got a lot more tapes to upload, and pretty soon it'll be a lot clearer because those other recordings are not going to be recorded on the tape. They were actually recorded on, a cell phone or smartphone, and they have clarity. Those voice recorders on the phones are a lot clearer than on the micro cassettes. So, but he lives in poverty. Like I said, the neighborhood is just terrible. And then consumer support services is the home staff, and I got them on tape verbally abusing my son, grabbing the phone away from me, so they physically abused him. I was so scared for Marquis, I had to call the police to try to get him to come over there. I said, because they might be beating my son. But I heard them verbally abusing, physically abusing, terrorizing. So I got that on tape. Then, of course, Marquis tells me about, the incidences of assault and abuse and stuff, how they grab him and, yell at him and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's just been treated like an animal. And I'm there, and any of that scum, any of that filth, because that's what, anytime you mistreat, that's like mistreating a kid, but anytime you mistreat a disabled person that can't advocate for themselves, you ain't nothing but dung. You ain't nothing but the you know what that comes out of you know what. I'm not going to even say it. I said, but you're the lowest of the low. And that goes for the judges on down. And of course, I contacted President Obama and President Trump and government officials, because ain't nobody can say that I didn't try to help my son and that I didn't tell him about it. And they're supposed to be there and have the agencies and the laws and stuff to protect people and people like my son. And they all ignore it because he ain't got no quality of life. Because my son ain't an inanimate object. He played sports. I had him in Special Olympics. He likes to play basketball. He's got music he enjoys. He's got hobbies and TV shows that he likes to watch and stuff like that. And most of all, he needs to be with his mother. He loves his mother. He wants to spend time with his mother. He misses his mother. And I got that on tape, him saying, I want to see your face, and telling me he misses me and loves me. And these idiots are trying to break up our family. These racist, trash are trying to break up our family. And, it's just, he doesn't have any kind of human rights. He doesn't have any kind of civil or constitutional rights, and no quality of life. And he's going to gain weight. They got him on a large amount of Thorazine and lithium, and then he got to take Cogent because of side effects. And last time I seen him was on July the 8th, but that wasn't a visit. I waited outside and I seen him, and he had gained so much weight. But you'll see those photos. Just go to Facebook and you can look at the evidence. That's the reason why nobody's going to write me and say, oh, you need to cease and desist, you're slandering us and all that kind of stuff, because I got too much evidence. And I done put it out there for the world to see, and I'm sure they have looked at it too. Ain't nobody can come at me and say, oh, well, we could sue you for defamation and stuff. Aaron Sanford can't do it. Kasich, Mike DeWine, all of them trash. Robert Montgomery from Probate Court of Franklin County, Ohio. Mike Capaldi, Ora Capaldi, D. Michael Snow, Heidi Hughes. Ain't none of them gonna say anything. I got all their butts on tape. Aaron Sanford, none of them. I dare them. Nobody gonna say anything to me about what I have said. And I don't call names. I just describe people. So, it might sound like I'm calling them names, but if you're racist, you're racist. If you're dirty, if you're corrupt, if you're evil, if you're a liar, if you're unfit, that's what you are. And I'll prove when I say what I say. But I know they don't tell white parents, you escalate your son and daughter, when their son and daughter with autism has, behaviors or aggression or whatever and stuff. I'm sure they don't tell them that. Why are you going to tell the black mother? But, it'll be God that have to bring him back home. And sometimes God will say, so that when I bring him back home, nobody can get the credit but me. And that's who I'm going to have to give it to. I'm going to have to give it to Jesus. And then, it won't be nobody mistaken who brings Marquis back home. And God likes to sometimes really show himself out and show how powerful he is. But I can't say it won't be anybody else. I can't say that is anybody else but Jesus when he brings him back home. And there's only certain things that let me rephrase this. There's things that only God can do. Because this is a big system full of evil, racist, corrupt, wicked people that have some power through courts and that kind of stuff. And only God can put that down. I mean, it's a whole army of racist people. And like I said, that's what she escalates. And I said, you can't speak for Marquis. I said, what he's doing is venting to me. Because he's in your care. And you done got my son so agitated and he's traumatized from y'all restraining him and he's upset and angry because he's already missing me and wants to be home. And then y'all treat him like that? You keep him in sensory overload because that MRDD classification is no longer there. It's developmentally disabled classification. It's not MRDD. Then I got to get ready and play this tape. But they went ahead and changed it to DD. But that ICF MR facility called Columbus Developmental Center means intermediate care facility for the mentally retarded. And so they didn't know how to take care of autistic people. And they'll hire anybody. And I said, a lot of these people barely can even spell the word autism, let alone take care of somebody with, autism. And they just kept my son, they just kept him traumatized and, just kept him in sensory overload. He always complained of the noise. It was just awful. He's just been treated like an animal. I don't know anybody that has been mistreated like my son, and God's he's gonna make it. He's gonna make it right. He's got this thing. He's in this thing with me and Marquis. I told Sanford that. I said, we're not in this thing by ourselves. But probate court, they, won't even have a hearing for me to be reappointed my son's guardian. And they just said that all I'm talking about is the lack of communication with him. And that's why I said, you give me a flag, I'll tell you to get it out of my face. Or I'll wave it upside down. I said, because that ain't no life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for my son. I said, because he doesn't even have a quality of life. He has no rights. And me as a mother, I'm a victim. Because I ought to be able to see my own son. I haven't abused him, neglected him, or did any dysfunction. I just been advocating for him. But as an African mother, they want to try to retaliate against me. So when God puts these people down, spike these booties, I want to see it. But, it got to be for me and my son. So I don't want to see a flag. I can understand. I don't care about the national anthem. I can see why Colin kneels and stuff. Because they're looking at the meaning of it. Not, it's the flag. I'm American. So I got to be American patriot. Because I can't say the Pledge of Allegiance. I won't stand up and say it. When it get the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, justice for all, it ain't never been that way for everybody in this country. And I'm not going to just BS about it. So I'm not going to stand up for it. I don't want to see the flag. It goes upside down. For my son. Because see, the problem with white people, sick, racist white people, they try to make black people, everybody's experience like them. Now, I ain't mad at them, but they wave their flag. Because your experience, you might have that American dream. If America been good to you, then wave your flag. But you got to realize, idiot, that everybody don't have that same experience. So I'm not going to wave the flag like you. And that doesn't make me racist because I don't want to wave the flag like you. I ain't going to wave it because of the living experience that I'm having in my life and that I know my son's been going through and continues to go through. That's what that's about. Real simple. So, anyway, let me play this for you. It's about 30 minutes long, and then that should be it. So, I'm going to go ahead and play this. And here we go. Like I said, it's going to be from December the 2nd, 2012. Marquis still felt sad. He was saying CDC sucks. He talks about his hand bleeding real hard. He told me he was restrained, that Bobby spit at him, and that staff restrained him. He tells staff to quiet down while talking to me on the phone. Then I start getting a phone call from CDC that he had a hand injury from a nurse. She never told me the cause. She called it little scratches, but she never told me the cause. Me calling Disability Rights Ohio on December the 1st, 2012. Leaving a message for Kevin Truitt, which was the attorney. He never did anything, swept it on the rug. The CDC had called me and told me that Marquis was placed in a restraint for about an hour. I think it was like 9:09 to 10:05 or something like that. Then I have Marquis, leaving a message for, another phone call from CDC about Marquis being placed in another restraint. Then another phone call, he was restrained at 12:07 to 1:07. So he was restrained multiple times during the day. Be visiting Marquis on 12 December the 2nd, 2012. Me asking about Rashim, to the staff asking to see if Rashim had been working with Marquis. Me taking fruit water over to Marquis. Me telling CDC again about Marquis being hit. My statement was already written. Me calling, talking to investigator in person. A message left to David Belinky on the phone, December the 3rd, 2012. Message left for Jack Ward, a probate court investigator, about Marquis's assault and abuse on December the 1st, 2012. That phone call was made December the 3rd, 2012. Message left to Franklin County Board DD about what happened December the 1st, 2012. And then Marquis said he got restrained and he didn't know. So let me get to this because I'm about ready to run out of time. So here we go. I apologize for the clarity. He said this place sucks. He said he cut his hand and is bleeding to death. He got restrained again. Bobby spit at him, and he said he hit him, and they restrained him. He said, quiet down. He's talking to his mother on the phone. He says, too noisy. He couldn't hear me on the phone. He said he sucked. He said he needs to go home. The nurse just called me talking about the injuries to Marquis's hand. That's what that was. Called to Kevin Truitt, Disability Rights Ohio. So what I'm going to do is go to now. I just fast forward to me talking to an investigator because I think I'm gonna run out of time. I only got 60 minutes, so I had to fast forward. Me telling the investigator what I saw when Marquis was assaulted. Me leaving a message for David Belinky, the deceased attorney, very corrupt, evil attorney, telling him about Marquis's assault and abuse, which he did nothing about. This is me talking to Jack Ward of Probate Court, telling him about Marquis being abused and assaulted, and requesting that he be moved for his own well-being and safety. me telling Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities about Marquis's assault and abuse. This is me and Marquis talking. Marquis telling me he got restrained again, and that he didn't know. He said, why did Shim hit him? The boy that hit him December 1st, 2012, in the chest. So, he was asking me that. I'm going to try to see if I can get some of the phone calls from the restraint, because okay, here's one right here, because I'm about ready to run out of time. So here's one saying that he went into a mechanical restraint for about an hour.
Well, thank you for telling me, but y'all need to do positive behavioral intervention.
Be telling him about PBIS, and I gave him a list.
He's having aggression because he's being triggered.
He's being triggered.
With autistic people, so tell him that for me. Because he's being triggered over there morning, noon, and night. Because it's never the autistic person's fault. It's the staff's fault. Gotta know how to work with them. Gotta be trained. Thank you for telling me. Bye-bye.
Oh, here's another one. Another call about Marquis being restrained. Another call about that Marquis being restrained again. Okay, so you can see the agony, the emotional pain, the physical abuse, and neglect. He suffered injuries, physical injuries, and he just a suffer. And I would get over there, my son would let me know what was going on with him, but he wanted to make sure Mom to rescue me, take me home. How do I feel and stuff? And then they blame that on me. And they somehow expected for him to be mild about it. But a lot of times my son would be so upset. Sometimes he'd just yell it out and blurt it out. But here he is, autistic. Now remember, he's got a developmental disability, and he's doing his best to communicate to his mother what these people are doing to him and his feelings. And it's not going to sound mild. But that's why I said, but the Lord done taught me. He said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. You step back and let me handle this thing. But my way and my time. Because God has his own appointed time for everything. And he's got his own appointed time when he's going to bring Marquis back home. When he's going to punish Sanford in the system. And sometimes that can be just God moving them aside and say, look, I'm in charge here. And I have the final say. And that might be all that he does with that system. But then sometimes he can destroy a system. He can, like he had done throughout the ages in history of destroying people. Sometimes it can be the government. It could be just a nation in itself or army. God has power to destroy and do anything he wants. And like I said, sometimes it can be just to show the people that thought they were the powers to be that no, God is the ultimate power. He has all authority and power. So sometimes he might do it that way. But, my son has just suffered. And I couldn't really get everything on there. But I know that, they had called me telling me about his hand being injured, the nurse. And didn't give me a calls. I got several calls about him being restrained. I had made several calls to different people telling them about what happened on December 1st, 2012. I had my son telling me he's been restrained, that he was being spit on by a resident by the name of Bobby. It's all here. And I got hundreds more tapes like this. Just dozens, tons of tapes. And, I'm going to put them. I said, they go to the audio tape page. And again, it's called the audio tapes of Marquis Tainsley. His suffering, abuse, and neglect, because he has suffered. But he's been treated like any, but he doesn't mean anything to them. But God will use people that other people count out. Because he's a black male, he's disabled, so he don't mean nothing to the racist white trash that they have in that system. And I'm talking about the government, too. But like I said, nobody's going to take me on. I got too much evidence. Nobody's going to send me a letter and say anything. Because it's not slander when it's true. So, Marquis, I love you. I ain't giving up. I ain't walking away. I left a message for Aaron Sanford's lying self. And she won't talk to me. Because she don't want to get her feelings hurt. Because, they can't stand when you tell them the truth. Somebody that's corrupt doesn't have honesty. And I told her, I said, I'm just letting you know I'm still around. I said, but God's going to punish you. It ain't just her, but she's mainly the person now because she's the limited guardian. And I said, he's going to punish you for what you have been doing to my son. And you've been exploiting him. You've been allowing other people to exploit him. But for him not to be able to see his own mother, a loving, supportive, professional, Christian, available mother. And I said, when it's all said and done, you're going to understand I'm a victim in this thing too. Not just Marquis. But God going to punish you for what you've done. But I'm letting you know I ain't walking away. I ain't giving up. I said, because I'm a Christian. I can put it right there with Jesus. And I said, and he will take care of it. I said, because God can use anybody. I said, he can use me and my son to put that system down. But anyway he want to do it, it's going to be done. But I told her, I said, I want you to know he's in the ring with me and Marquis. He's on our side. I said, because my son ain't done nothing to nobody. But you don't have to do anything to somebody for wicked, racist, evil, corrupt people to do you wrong. There's people that lost their life and they ain't done nothing wrong. Because you got this racist filth that's in this in the world, that have a little bit of power because they do all kind of injustice with all those motions that they file and stuff. That's why I said I don't have no respect for the court system or the illegal system. I just don't. Because I can write a book on all the injustice that I've seen. But I let her know I ain't giving up. I ain't walking away. And God got this. I said, because you need to look over your shoulder for what God's justice, sweetheart. That's what you need to do. Just like he did David Belinky. And I told her, I said, I just hope God let me see and let me know how he going to deal with you in the system like he did with David Belinky. He might not let me know. Just bring Marquis back home. Say, this Marquis is coming back home. I said, because he'll move you aside, make y'all do whatever he wants to do. And stuff. I said, but I'm not leaving and going no place. So Marquis, I love you. I got to get ready and end this. Time is running out. Jesus is with you. You still got a mother that loves you, waiting for you. Jesus loves you. He ain't forgotten you, abandoned you. I'm proud of you. God's going to use you mightily, and I'm proud to be your mother. And but we got the best person on our side, and that's Jesus. So I love you. Mommy misses you. I think about you every single day, and you know my heart yearns for you. But I'm looking forward to you coming back home. And I got all your stuff waiting for you, brand new stuff, and I love you so much, and God loves you so much, even more. He went to the cross for you. So I love you. Hang on in there, baby. And that's all I have. And thanks for listening.